It's that time. Angified presents GlassGarden. Hi, Matt. How are you?
Hey, Angie, how you doing?
Oh, it's so great to have you with me tonight.
Thanks,
We're
I'm
gonna
happy
have
to be on.
we're gonna have so much fun.
Yeah, well,
I
we're listening to some fun music, so how can we not?
That's right. And music's always fun and uplifting and move you in one way or another.
That it is, that it is.
I have to ask, Glass, where did you come from? Like your grandparents or great grandparents? Like, is this like something that runs through your blood because you seem very natural at it?
Kind of. So I grew up in not a super musical household, but definitely that was something that was common. My dad and my mom always played at church and played church music. And so that was kind of my first exposures to music, really. I remember playing Legos and adjusting monitor levels for my dad. And so it's kind of something that I've always been around. And it's in particular something that was actually kind of kicked me into high gear really was the fact that we lived next door to a family that truly was a musical family. The father, his name is
Okay.
Jeff. He was a professional musician off and on. He was actually an engineer by trade, but he played a guitar incredibly well. And then the kids, they all still play music. As a matter of fact, one of them, he's a jazz
Wow.
pianist in Seattle, one of the best that I've ever heard. He's got somewhere around 300 to 500 songs memorized in his head that he can drop out of thin air. So like that's the kind of
Wow.
people that I grew up with, and so and of course so that's kind of how I got fostered into music and how I all got started.
Well, how can I rent your bubble? Because that seems so awesome.
Oh yeah, it was
Surrounded
tons
by
of
all
fun.
of that and all the different like types of music and genres. That's why you play so many different things.
Yeah, I do. I love a lot of different kinds of music, and it's I love it enough that I want to write a lot of different types because there's more than one.
Absolutely. And so you said you started out in like choir with church, right?
Yeah, actually,
Did
the
you?
first musical group I was ever a part of was a choir.
Nice. Nice. Did you play any instruments like in the choir? Because like sometimes they include in church.
No, not as much. The
Okay.
first thing I ever really did was I did. Actually, now that I'm thinking of it,
See,
I'm
it's
trying
coming
to.
back to you now.
Yeah, like I said, just ever since I was 7, I've been off and on involved in church music, and I've been part of like a bunch of like different children's choirs. But where I started actually getting serious was when I tried. I decided that I wanted to learn guitar when I was 12, and too many strings confused me. So then, like 6 months after that, I put it down. And I was like, wait, bass has 4 strings. I can handle 4 strings. So then I started playing bass in a garage grunge band with me and my next door neighbor. He was the drummer, and then another kid.
Oh, awesome. Now I'm hearing when I listen to your music where some of that's coming from. That is
Oh, oh yeah.
so cool. So you went from guitar to bass guitar, and you're hitting middle school, high school now, right?
Yeah, so I'd been still helping out at church, and still playing in my grunge band. And basically, the more music that I got exposed to, the more I was like, I like heavier and more intense stuff. But it's kind of funny because when I was growing up, I grew up listening to 90s country. So Garth Brooks,
Okay.
Brooks and Dunn, Dixie Chicks, like Shania Twain, that stuff lives rent free in my head eternally. You put on "Man, I Feel Like a Woman," I'm singing. That's just.
Yeah.
But at the same
Little
time,
Shania.
I was still always looking for something that was a little bit more intense. So then I started listening to things like Linkin Park. That was actually the very first thing I ever recorded vocally. was my friends next door. They had Cakewalk and they were recording like crazy, and we all really like Linkin Park. And so like, hey, well, Matt, well, why don't you sing Points of Authority? And so that was the very first thing I ever sang when I was, 13, 14. And
Wow.
and yeah, and then as
Killer though.
Oh yeah, it's a great song. It's tons of fun. So then through high school, I just started listening to more and more stuff and started getting more into hard rock.
So you like all the other genres out there, but you find yourself more with the hard rock, the grunge, the metalish.
Nowadays, it constantly changes for me, to be perfectly honest. When I was in high school, it was a really I really liked a lot of really, really acoustic driven stuff. So like, for instance, John Mayer, Phil Keaggy, those kinds of artists, like I really was inspired by. So I spent a ton of time, especially once I got into high school, I spent a lot of time getting better at acoustic guitar. I loved it. But then also a lot of times that's when I started getting involved with electric, right, and started like playing things like Breaking Benjamin. And so I've always had a little bit of duality to me. And then at high school, I was in jazz choir. So multi-genre study has just been throughout my entire life.
Incredible. I want to study your brain. I want to pick your brain back now. I love music. It's my therapy,
Same.
Your parents, did they play any instruments, or did they listen to like a certain type of music as well? Like when you were younger, that you were maybe mom listened to Pat Benatar, dad listened to AC/DC, something like that, or mom was into like Bette Midler, it was that time frame, Barbara Streisand, all of those greats there. Was there anything like there that you'd kind of sit there with your mom or your dad and maybe just sing with them or like play around with?
Largely, it was a very conservative household at that time in particular, and so it was largely church music. Okay. And so my mom always played piano, and so she taught my sister how to play piano a little bit too. I can barely fumble around on piano. I limp. I'll say through. My dad always played acoustic guitar, and that's part of the reason why I picked up acoustic as my second instrument. But the music that kind of what I got from my mom mostly, honestly, was musicals.
Pitch.
Once again, musicals. I listened to a crap ton of Hans Christian Andersen, The King and I, Singing in the Rain. So I also have a huge love of show tunes and musicals. Once again, multiple genres constantly. And then the thing that me and my dad really bonded over was the very first time that he started to realize, like, oh, Matthew, he's gonna like heavier stuff. When I was about 6 years old, he put on this like Christian rock album. It was called I can't remember the name of but the song was called "This Means War." Okay. And it was like a Christian rock metal from the 80s. And I just like, Dad, you should turn that up. Dad, you should turn that up. Dad, you should turn that. And basically it was until it was like screaming loud in the car when it was just me and him. And that's kind of where he figured out, he's like, oh, he's going to listen to some heavy music eventually someday. And that's kind of how and then the other thing that me and my dad really related to was Jimi Hendrix and Stevie Ray Vaughan. Loved Jimi Hendrix, especially being in the Seattle area. Jimi Hendrix holds a very special place in my heart. That's really where I started to like, when I started learning Jimi Hendrix, I was like, oh my gosh, this is a whole different ball game. This is music that I not just want to listen to. I want to learn how to play this because it's another level.
Absolutely. Great influences. And you were lucky though too. Like I know, like growing up, you were probably like, oh, man, I don't want to sing another Catholic or religious song. But at the same time, you got pitch. Because you have like a perfect pitch.
Oh, thank you. It's not perfect yet.
But I'm hearing it. So I'm hearing the lessons. I'm hearing you being able to hear a note and be able to nail that note. You're like right on it like a magnet. I
Yeah,
hear that from your work.
that's one thing that I learned that my ears are better than most. And so, but also because of that, I'm very aware when I don't hit it, and it drives me absolutely insane. So I keep practicing it until I get it perfect.
Yep. I can't tell you how many takes I've done on one of the tracks on BandLab to be like, no, it's not right yet. And it could have only been one word, but I have to redo the whole thing over again.
Yep.
Now I've seen that you've only been on BandLab for about a year.
Yeah, it's actually something my friend DJ Tatius, he'd been bugging me about getting on BandLab. Been bugging me like, dude, you should get on. You should try this. You'd have fun with this. You'd like this. And I was like, nah, because I'd always been like my own little music scene, my own little music friends. But it was actually kind of fortuitous. The interesting thing is that we're about 2 years ago now. I hadn't written any music in about 7 years.
Okay.
And I went through, which was incredibly weird because from about 16 to 25, I was constantly like playing music in bands, in church bands, writing like music like that. It was like, that was always, at least at some part of my week, that was going to happen. So then for 7 years, not doing that, that was odd. And so when my friend asked me, and I finally basically was like, all right, yeah, I'll try it out. Then yeah, it's been a ton of fun being on here. I've honestly really enjoyed it.
Well, I'd say you enjoyed it. Congratulations, you were the winner last month.
Thank you.
It's so funny because I believe you said you didn't even have many plays on that either. Is that correct?
At the time when I was announced as the winner, I want to say it was close to 350 plays. But apparently a couple of those plays were the right people.
Absolutely. Congratulations.
Yeah, I definitely put in effort in that song, and I'm really proud of that song. But I will say there was definitely some luck involved. I'm okay with admitting that.
Well, where can people find your music? Because I know you're not just on BandLab. And I like our artists to, be able to share where they're at. So that way it's not just on BandLab and we can go ahead and support each other.
Yeah, absolutely. So, the main, I distribute through DistroKid, as I'm sure a lot of people do. So it's whenever I'm releasing something, it does hit freaking everything. But the big ones that I care about, because that's just where I listen to music, is Spotify. And so obviously I've got a GlassGarden artist page there. Then the other place where if you want to be one of those hardcore people and you're like, no, I want to have the digital copy that has like a really good mastering quality, and I want to download it, or I want to actually donate to GlassGarden, then you can go to my Bandcamp profile. And so that's where you can also read a lot of the lyrics of songs, and also stuff that is ancient. There's some really ancient recordings in there. Some of which I'm still proud of, some of which I'm not going to lie, I'm a little embarrassed about, but I'm like, well, maybe someone may like this, hopefully. But
I've already put it out. I ain't taking it down. I'm owning it.
Yeah, I already did that. I gotta own my good with my bad.
So when you record, are you recording through your phone, your computer? Are you going to a studio? Like, how are you recording?
Primarily, I used to do a lot more in the studio, but frankly, technology's gotten so freaking good that everything is, almost every single thing you ever hear from me, doesn't matter where I release it, it's coming from my garage right there. So it's just, and I don't have anything fancy. I just do a Focusrite 2i2 like everyone else has, and then an SM7B and an MK4. That's pretty much, and then everything else is just software, and you can get away with that these days, and I love that fact.
Oh yeah, and to make the sound quality like is being made, yeah, you can't go wrong. And it saved you how many thousands of dollars from going to a studio?
Oh my goodness, yeah. And some of the studios that I've worked in, like, yeah, they're hundreds of dollars per hour, and
if not thousands nowadays, depending on where you live, depending on what state. I mean, I've seen like $2,500 for our studio. And that's just an hour of time.
Yeah, and so it's a really wonderful way that music creation is accessible to the masses, and I think that's actually one of the big reasons why I'm on BandLab, because I truly believe that the digital audio workstation being on a browser, I think
Yes.
that's the freaking future, man. I really
Yes, it
do.
is. It is. I totally believe that too. And you're able to collaborate with anybody you want
Which is so handy.
all around the world, like actual make connections all around the world. I don't think any other platform did that. Not even Facebook, which is a social media, strictly social media. I don't think it has connected as many people as BandLab has.
As far as making meaningful connections, yeah, it's and meaningful new ones. Like that's the
Hmm.
really unique thing. It's
Yeah.
like you immediately have something in common based off of the
Yeah.
fact that you love to create music together. So you have some commonalities instantly.
Yeah.
And then you have a good sharing tool that allows you to actually get some stuff done, because previously, 5 years ago, like that would have been pulling teeth to get done for
Right.
most people.
Right. Where do you see yourself going in the future?
Whew. As far as with music, I my big goal, because
Uh-huh.
I've been a part of bands, I've done, my previous career was actually in audio engineering, more on the live side though, and so I've kind of quasi chased record deals, not too seriously. I've done some things, but really what I want to do now is I want to build a following of people that like what I create, and just and really engage with those people, and then honestly just develop the music enough and develop the following enough that the music can support itself, that it can just support the time that I'm putting in, because I'm only doing this for pride's sake and because I love it. If no one else listens, I do not give a damn. Like, because I know what I'm making, I know what I love, and I know that it's good, and I'm freaking proud of it. So I'm going to release it, and I just want to find more people that think it's cool too.
Yeah, if you don't like coffee, then drink tea.
Yeah, exactly.
Let me ask about this piece, I wish.
Okay. So,
Um,
so what do you want to know
where,
about it?
where did it come from? The idea, the music, the lyrics, where did it all come from?
I wish was a freaking that was a labor of love, because so I had rewritten several the in particular the first thing that you hear of I Wish, I'd rewritten that like 5 times. And actually the chorus from I Wish actually was a chorus that got cut from another song. That it was kind of funny. A friend of mine that I was sharing it to, I was like, okay, dude, what do you think of this? And he's like, honestly, the chorus of this song doesn't
I
work.
love when
He's
that
like,
happens.
and so I actually was able to repurpose the chorus, because I was like, I love this chorus, I can't let it go. So I basically created a song so that way the chorus could still survive and get released. Um, but the lyrical content is all about that moment, all the thoughts and feelings that you have when you are fighting with your significant other. And that is the reason for the type of music that you hear in I Wish. There's moments where it's like, okay, this is intense, this is hard. There's moments
Mhm.
where it's like, oh, this is really soft and quiet, because there's moments when you're in the fight that like everything calms down. You're like, what's
Right?
going on? And then there are moments of just sheer unadulterated fucking rage, because you feel all of those things and you think all those things. So a lot of the lyrics come from that place. Because me and my wife, I love her, and we have gone through a lot of hard shit, and we have worked
Mhm.
on our marriage a lot, and it's been totally worth it and awesome. But you also have to acknowledge where you came from, and also share with other people, like, hey, marriage isn't perfect. That's not a destination. That means that's when the work starts in earnest.
Yes. Yes. Facts there. I love it too because your wave file on I Wish, it looks exactly like the story that you have that goes with it.
Mm-hmm.
How did you do that? I want to make little creatures in my music.
So and part of it, once again, because as we kind of mentioned earlier, I grew up on 90s country. We played, I played a lot of church music, recorded a lot of church music. I listened to a lot of musicals. there's so many different things that I pull from that are just in my head all the time. That's part of, so I will do moves and I will do musical transitions that most other people won't see coming from a mile away, because it's very out of character. It's not like, for instance, a friend of mine, I was showing him the demo of I Wish. I was like, okay, hey, what do you think? Constructive criticism, because I very much so believe in that. You got to rewrite the crap out of your songs if you're going to put out good work. And he was like, oh no, this is great. And I was like, okay, I'm concerned about the structure. Is this throwing the structure? Will this throw the listener? He's like, no, it's like, you didn't break any like songwriting rules. Like, no, this is totally normal. I was like, bro, the chorus starts in the middle of the song in a weird place. I don't repeat two of these parts. And I actually, it blows out traditional songwriting structure completely.
It does.
But because it's done in a very theatrical and very moving, intentional way, it's not offensive to your senses. And that's my goal, is like, do something different, but you still, it's still it's a journey that you're totally happy to have, but it's just a new kind of journey.
And take care of your ears.
Yeah.
Well, let's go ahead. Let's listen to I Wish.
All right.
Let's check it out. I Wish. GlassGarden. You can find him on BandLab today. Same name at GlassGarden.
I'll mention this one thing before we get started. Sorry to interrupt, but this is actually something that is an exclusive to Angified. This is getting released only because we're doing this. This is actually stuff that previously was on Spotify. You could not get on anywhere else on BandLab, but now here it is on BandLab because we're doing this.
That's right. Let's do it. Sharing the love, sharing the music. I love it, Glass. Let's do it. I Wish.
Distance can break our lives in an instant. The blame game that we play takes us further from coexistence. Threatened by communication, one guarantees separation. No matter what I say, this always ends the same. So explain to me why the hell I'm fighting for us. Could decay us. The memory of who we used to be is blurry. The future life we wanted together, that we discussed, now pulled down into rubble and debris. I wish that I could do what you wanted me to, but I can't let go. When you brought me this low, so let's find out who's gonna walk. Who better to ride? Threatened by communication, will guarantee separation. No matter what I say, safe, so explain to me why the hell I'm fighting for us. And neither way, we will not be enough for this blood. We spent all trust, now neither one of us can take the other's breath. I wish that I could do what you wanted me to, but I can't let go, 'cause this is what you don't know. Still I try to do what you want me to, no matter how far I just can't let you go.
Oh, I love that, Glass.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm very proud of that song. It took a lot of work, but
That's Glass.
it arrived exactly where I wanted it to.
Oh, it's gorgeous. And you have a whole bunch of different layers in there. You know, like your harmonies are beautiful. Absolutely
Thank you.
beautiful. And you can feel everything you were going through.
Yeah, that was the goal. Music has to communicate a story and an emotion. And if there's no journey, if
Absolutely. I'm
there's
so
no
big on
emotion,
stories.
then what's the point? Like you got to take your listener on that journey.
Absolutely. Now, when you write, do you write more personally to yourself, or do you write of experience, or maybe something somebody's gone through, or maybe just something made up?
Honestly, I bounce around a ton. Most of the
So all the
time,
above?
it's yeah. But most of the time, when it comes to lyrics, I start with whatever I'm thinking and feeling and experiencing. And that's really the most of the time where I start. It's really more often when I've got an idea, because like I will start pretty much always with music first. Like I will start with like, you know, a guitar riff, maybe a drum beat. Sometimes it's a pad thing that I like. I will start there and build a rough architecture, and then I start adding in. And then once I get something rough that I'm like, okay, most of these parts are decent, then I go into, okay, this, let's do this, let's do that, and now I start adding a melody line first to get like, okay, what do I want to have melody on top? What's the lead thing here? Then after that's done, then I start adding lyrics. I mean, that's not always the case. My creative process definitely flexes.
Yeah.
And
I'm
I
sure
try
there's
and,
sometimes you just sit down with like the drum pad or the guitar or something, and like you just free flow off of it. And there's your idea.
yeah,
Sometimes you like sing it first and then write it.
There's one track that hasn't gotten released anywhere, that it was literally just this little melody line that was a background melody line of a game that I was playing that it didn't get featured very much. And I was just like, that melody line is genius. Someone needs to, and I was like, no, I'm doing that. And that was the melody line of a chorus.
Sampler. That's awesome. Can you tell me about Nightmare? Because it looks like this was reimagined.
Yes. So this was kind of a funny story. So once again, my friend DJ Tatius, he was like, okay, Matt, there's this song this other guy did, because when I was like, okay, when I got on Band Lab, I was like, okay, I need to do something to build something of a following, because you know it's kind of dumb to be on a social media site to share music if you don't share the music to people. So I was like, I need to build a following. I want to do some covers of other artists. And my friend DJ Tatius was like, okay, Matt, listen to this song, and I think we should do this. And I was like, honestly, I'll be completely honest. At first I didn't want to do it. I was like, no, this isn't my thing. You know, I don't know about this. And he's like, well, no. He's like, listen for what it. He's like listen again. He's like, because he's pretty stubborn, and but that's one of the things why we get along, is because we both push each other in a good way. And I was like, okay, I'll take a swing at it and then I did a rough idea, and then after I was like, crap, dude, you're right. Yep, there's something here. We have to do this. And then by the time it was all said and done, we had this track. And so the lyric ideas really came from the original version. I wish I could remember. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking on the guy who originally wrote the song. So that's terrible. But he's also named on the track, so it's not like we didn't give him credit or anything. We asked him to.
At J66 Official.
Thank you. I knew it was like,
you are
Jay,
so welcome.
There's a 6. But yeah, so he was nice enough to let us cover it. But it was one of those things. We called it Reimagine because we changed so much and we did so many different things. That like we still wanted to honor the original vision,
right?
But then we took it in this whole different direction, and that's what became Nightmares. Nightmares is a very interesting song because I hadn't written anything like this before. This was something that was inspired by some very, very modern cutting edge pop. Oh crap, what's that name of that show? Euphoria. So the soundtrack for Euphoria, I can't remember the name of the artist who does that. But I listened to several of his things and I was like, man, this is really good sound. And that was where a lot of that inspiration came from. So there's 5-part harmonies in there. There's cool synths. There's some good rap done by DJ Tatius. So it's a very much so a straightforward cutting edge pop song.
So you don't only like look at things and say, I'm just going to jump on this. You make sure that your quality is there versus the quantity.
That's actually something that I'm still getting used to on BandLab, to be completely honest, is that I'm used to you re-record until it's perfect, because that's where the studios that I worked in and the people that I worked with and the level of musicians that I worked with. That's most of my friends were session level musicians. So walk in, hear something once, play it the right part that needs to be there in the next take, and that's why I'm a session guitarist. So the idea of just throw something out and just go for it and release it's still is a little bit weird for me. I'm trying to find a good balance, but yeah, that is a little bit of something I struggle with.
And I understand that according to your profile on BandLab, you are up for collaborations and writing things, so people can hit you up. Mm-hmm. Do you charge a small fee or ask for a donation? So because you put in a lot of work.
I do.
I ain't gonna lie. Like looking at your waves, looking at how you structure things, how you build things, how you take it 5-part harmonies. You take it above and beyond.
Yeah, and it's once again, that's why I say this is for the love of it. This is for pure pride's sake, is because I love this stuff and I'm gonna do it regardless of anyone else that does it with me or listens. But yeah, when it comes to collaborations on BandLab, pretty much my rules is that I'm happy to almost collaborate with anyone as long as I can see something in their music or in what they do that I'm like, oh yeah, I can relate to that. I like that. Let's work together. And that's purely based off of how much time I have available. Right now I have, but then also on the other side of things, like now, if you want to hire me and you want me to mix you, produce you, write song for you, whatever the case may be, that's it, or play guitar for you. That's a different thing, because then the core difference is here, I get to play whatever I want with someone. And so it's a collaboration. I have creative freedom. So then I do that for free. I don't care. If you want to direct me and tell me the professional musician, the audio engineer, the guy with the music degree, play this part or make this thing that works perfectly with this, that's something that I charge for. So for instance, right now I'm actually, I'm creating on the paying side. So for clients, I have a YouTube channel that reached out to me, and I'm working on some custom music for them. And that's going pretty well. And then I have another client that I'm producing as well, that he was kind of one of those guys that he'd never built his own. He's always wanted to do something professional sounding. And so he's like, hey, can you do this? And so I'm basically producing him, taking from nothing at all. And we're going to have a full track. Everything is going to be, sounding awesome. And so, yeah, so that's kind of the difference.
I love it. So if you guys want anything, you know who to hit him up. He is the man, GlassGarden. So yes, message, follow, share, check him out. Bandcamp, Spotify, do it.
it.
Yeah, or else you're just gonna have to come kick your butts. All right, so we gotta play Nightmares Revision. I'll tell you what, like when I listened to this song earlier, and so you're gonna see plays on this and on your other ones that you just uploaded, and I've gotta tell you, like I was listening to them, so just so you know.
That's good. That's good.
I had to check him out before you came in. Amazing. I don't know what else to say. You left me speechless, Glass.
That's the hope.
Score. All right, let's check out Nightmares Reimagined. As you can go ahead and see here, DJ Thaddeus is in this. At DJ Thaddeus. There's two others. Let's all up like this. So you can get at JJ at J66.
Yeah, J66. Yeah, he deserves a shout out for sure. He was the original writer on this.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, I'm gonna follow both of these guys because, like I said, I heard this and you guys like totally left me speechless. Let's do it. I think my favorite part is the whispers in that.
That was one of the last things I added to that track. Actually, it was completely on impulse. I was like, man, I want this vibe to be a little more creepy at the end. And so the whispers, and then doing some pitch shifting stuff, and I was like, that'll be fun. That's cool.
It sounds like you put some like bells or chimes in there.
It's no bells. It's really just a synth that is EQ'd like crazy to do something very, very, very specific. And that's why you get that bell vibe. And then tons of reverb.
You know the tricks.
I knew a few.
Yes. So that's why, and I was hearing it. I was hearing, as it was going down inside that song. Beautiful. The lyrics too. I had to show off those lyrics too. Yeah. They're absolutely beautiful. And I had to show those off as well, because a lot of times we listen, but we don't read at the same time. Mm-hmm. And when we read and listen, it's a whole different connection that it can build.
Yeah, for sure.
So your lyrics are impeccable.
A lot of those are J66 and DJ Facius. I think I only had, I think there lyrics wise, I only added a couple of things on that one.
Well, J66, you did amazing.
I did.
Amazing. Yeah. Great. Oh, all right. Tell me about Summer Changes Everything, because it does. The Sunset, B-side. Yes.
Yeah, so this is one of those. Me and DJ, we were working on. We had kind of a straight up. This is one of those problems of being a multi-genre dude. Is that so? He came to me and said, "It's actually a whole different concept." He's like, "Oh, I found this one singer I'd really like to collaborate with. We should do this, this acoustic, summer vibe thing." I was like, "Great." He was like, "Yeah, I really want a summer song." And unfortunately, that's the thing that just sat in here. Is like, what does a summer song say to me? What's a fun summer song? And when I was like, 18, 19, going to the lake. Yeah. And then I texted him later on. I was like, sorry, man, I went rogue. I'm not going to lie. And then I wrote like a straight up Blink-182, pop punk, pure fun summer jam. And he's like, man, I really like this. This is a lot of fun. By the way, can we still do that acoustic thing we were talking about? So that's what this is. It's actually kind of funny. You can't even really detect it, but this entire melody line was actually several ideas that we had talked about using in that other song that we didn't actually use. And so basically the melody line, you could pretty much track it with the other song and it'll work perfectly. So it's kind of funny. That's why it's a B-side, is because this is more about talking about a summer when it's happening, when you are with your friends and, in your, young in your teens, and you're just having a great time that you're out of school. And then the other version is thinking back on it when you are, my age, when you're in your 30s and you're looking back and like, man, that was a good time. So these are two different sides of the exact same coin. So that's why it's a B-side.
I love it. It reminded me of like the cassette. Mm-hmm. When you had to flip.
Yeah.
A-side, B-side.
Kind rewind.
Yes. And then CDs started doing that. So you'd see A-side, B-side. It would happen with movies and things like that. So that is awesome. There was another artist that actually had done that like a long time ago. And it was really funny because he had made this song and he put it on the B-side thinking nobody's going to ever listen to it. And it ended up being, and I can't think off the top of my head who it was, but it ended up being like the biggest hit.
Oh.
Yeah, it actually turned out like a song that, and it's funny sometimes because you think, oh, this is going to be great, and then some of the ones, you said, this wasn't my best work, and those are the ones that like take off like wildfire, and you're sitting back and saying, how did that happen? Like, I beat myself up with this piece, and I know like I totally could do better, but I beat myself with this piece. I had to stop here. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And it trended, it featured, it just took off.
And that's the unpredictability of music and relatability. Some things that don't relate to you will relate a ton to someone else. And it's just, that's why you just put out your art and you hope for the best.
Yeah. Well, it is definitely summer, Glass.
That it is. And
you Glassavilled it. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to check out this summer on the B-side. This is awesome. Thanks so much again for joining me.
Absolutely. No, I'm having a ton of fun with this because I love talking about all the crap that goes on in my head when writing these things, and because there's so much intentionality and then so much painstaking effort. So I love talking about it.
Yay. All right. Well, summer changes everything but that. We're going to continue to do that, even though it says everything. Here's the sunset beside.
So let the light shine down on amazing times. You and I find a better state of mind. The warmth in your smile shining on my face. You know that summer changes everything. Been stuck in a rut, it's been really tough. Out here doing my best, but it's never enough. Hitting 5 o'clock and that's a full stop. Running from my job, grab my bag, jump the countertop. Winter's dead and gone and spring is fading. Why'd it take so long? I barely made it. You know hopelessness dies with the shade. 95. 'Cause that's the sweet spot. That's when I come alive. So show me what you're looking your best in that breathtaking sundress. So kiss me softly, sign my name. Adventures waiting and summer changes everything. Take my hand, it must be fate. And every day is summer when you're here with me. So let the light shine down on amazing times. You and I find a better state of mind. The warmth in your smile shining on my face. You know that summer changes everything. Shirts off, standing at the boat dock. Turn the volume up, it isn't loud enough. Get a running jump for the lift off. Shake the water off to do it all again. You know my heart is racing. Kiss me softly, sign my name. Adventures waiting and summer changes everything. Take my hand, it must be fate. And every day is summer when you're here with me. So let the light shine down on amazing times. You and I find a better state of mind. The warmth in your smile shining on my face. You know that summer changes everything. Just roll the windows down, turn the headlights off and drive by the moonlight. Just drive by the moonlight. Roll the windows down and turn the headlights off and drive by the moon. Just drive by the moonlight. Roll the windows down, turn the headlights off and drive by the moonlight. Just drive by the moonlight. Roll the windows down, turn the headlights off and drive by the moonlight. Drive by the moonlight.
Oh, that was absolutely gorgeous. Your harmony are sick.
Thank you. Yeah, I love, like I said earlier, I grew up and really loved acoustic music in my high school years, and I practiced a ton on it. So it's actually, that was one of the things that out of high school when I was doing a little bit more session work as a guitarist, that was actually what I did the most of, was country and acoustic stuff.
Oh, I believe that. Mr. Shania Twain. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, no, and you could tell you really connect with the guitar.
I do.
Your vocals, like, it's made to be backed by a guitar.
And that's something I try to do very hard, is that there's
But
a lot
then
of
again, I have to think, because I wish like your metal screams are immaculate.
Thank you.
They're awesome. So I don't know. You are so many genres. I like you in all of them so far. I love it.
Thanks.
Okay. So as far as collaborations, it seems like you pretty much go off your friend, DJ Thaddeus, to kind of guide you on the music wise.
Not as much on the music, actually. It's more on like the melody lines. Like where the great thing about me and DJ, why we work together a ton. One, we've known each other for years, so that's easy. And also we're very similar personalities in regards of we're both uber responsible. So like if he says he's going to deliver me something on Tuesday, it's happening on Tuesday, and I don't have to worry about whether or not. And same thing back and forth. Nice. Yeah. So he's actually one of the. So I've worked with a lot of different musicians over the years. He's actually one of the best I've ever worked with because of that, the fact that we both are very responsible. He wants to own more things about the process because, as you can kind of tell, with all the different things that I can do, most of the time when I get in a room, I'm the one that's writing everything and doing everything and producing everything. And this is one of the reasons why I'm probably not going to ever be in a band again, quote unquote band, is because I just got tired of having to collaborate with other people, listening to their opinions, but I'm still the one doing all the work. But yeah, but what our skills are very, so DJ, he thinks of things melody and vocals first. Like that's always like everything is like, that's where he's always leaning to. That's where he's thinking about the mix. That's what he's thinking about composition wise. Me, on the other hand, I always think music first. Exactly.
Yeah, like I could totally tell, like you lay down the grass and then you put like the backdrop and the sky. And then after that, you start laying down the cement and building of how many layers or levels you want in your building. And then you add the glass in there, right? Well, along with the curtains.
Exactly.
It's beautiful. I love it. Okay, so you have to tell me about You Get Me because I totally get you.
So You Get Me, this was I was interested, once again, DJ was bugging me about doing contests, and I basically said no for most of them. I was like, I'm not interested. That doesn't excite me because I do this for pride's sake and love's sake.
Right.
And then this one, I heard one of the contest tracks, and I was like, I can hear some potential, and I was like, that might be kind of fun. And then also this contest, working with, getting your song mixed by Zach. And I was like, all right, that'd be kind of cool if that, I was like, I don't think that's going to happen, but that'd be kind of cool. I was like, you know what, whatever. I'm just going to try. Who cares? And so I of course, because he's been on this platform longer than I was like, okay, I'm thinking of doing this. And he kind of gave me like some pointers of like, okay, here, but he's like, but dude, you need to realize you're starting late. He's like, you probably should have been working on this about a week or two ago. I was like, all right, what's the drop dead date? How much time do I need for some quote unquote marketing time so people get a chance to listen and share and all that? He's like, this date. And I was like, that's in 4 days. Gotcha. Okay. So I turned around this whole song in 4 days. And so it went from absolutely, from the basic track that everyone knew to what it became for the You Get Me. And it's kind of funny because I've been trying to get a whole lot. A previous flaw of mine as a writer is I would write things too high for my register because I was just too excited about it. Like, oh yeah, it should be this melody line. And so I've been getting better about that. And so in this song, the melody line that I was excited about is that thing like way up here, screaming high, like, and I was like, well, crap, I'm excited about this. And what I was trying to do in order to make the time, I was like, I am not questioning any decision I make. I'm just making the decision. I'm moving on. And so that's what I did. And that's what became You Get Me. The only thing that I want to say about You Get Me, because a lot of things, it's very obvious. I pulled some Ed Sheeran influences. I pulled some K-pop influences. But one of the things that I threw in there is an anime reference that no one has picked up yet. And I honestly thought, I was like, crap, people are going to make fun of me for this because this is just some silly anime thing. But no one's even commented or picked up on. I don't even know too much about anime to even be able to pick it up. It's all good. It's not that important, but I just always found that funny, so I had to mention that before we listened.
So everybody out there, you better listen and see if you could pick up it. And if you can pick it up, let Glass know, and he'll let you know if you're correct or not. Yeah. Awesome.
Okay.
All right, let's go here and see if I can pick it up, even though I don't know nothing about anime.
Yeah, if you don't know anything about it, it's all good. No, it's no big deal.
But that's okay because the audience might. So,
But they might.
aha, let's do it. Yay.
Yeah.
Cause when I was losing my mind, really couldn't quantify how it felt when I saw you the first time. I saw it happen to them and noticed that you're my friends. Finding love didn't look so sublime. Why can't I concentrate? At school but often late. Wonder where she's at today. Seems I'm stuck here in the days. She annoys me like hell sometimes, but I guess that's what I like. Cause in as soon as you go, and that's why I can't let go. You got me with your love. The feelings are getting strong. Got no control of where my head goes. I hope to God you know you're where I belong. Completely terrified of what she thinks. Cause I swear she looks deep inside of me. She tells me I'm a jerk and that I'm the worst. But why is she still smiling? This girl's gonna be my ending. What can I do? What can I say? Probably won't get her anyway. My heart won't stop night or day. This will only end in pain. She annoys me like hell sometimes, but I guess that's what I like. Cause in as soon as you go, and that's why I can't let go. You got me with your love. The feelings are getting strong. Got no control of where my head goes. I hope to God you know you're where I belong. What can I do? What can I say? I guess I'll keep hoping for someday.
4 days. Absolutely awesome. And I don't know if it was in the beginning verse with the girl with 2 legs. That's all I can think of when I think of anime. They look like little squishy things.
No, it wasn't that one. It wasn't that one. We'll leave it a mystery. We'll leave it a mystery.
Yes,
People
we'll
that
leave it a
know.
mystery. You'll have to let me know because I don't know anything about anime after later on.
That's fine.
Oh my goodness. I still can't believe only 4 days and you were able to come out with that.
Well, and that's one of the things that actually I was kind of chatting about it with an artist who's a friend of mine here that I went to their show recently, and it was something that was very, very telling, that because his whole process is he basically tweaks into oblivion, like every melody line, every chord, every anything, he tweaks it until he's completely happy with it. But of course, that approach you means you take an eternity to release anything. Now you're very happy with it, but it takes an eternity. And especially if the goal is to, well, one, in this case, just meet a freaking deadline.
Right.
You're kind of like, well, this better be good enough.
Everything happens for a reason. Sometimes like some things like stumble right in front of you and you're like, okay, do I or don't I?
Yeah, and that was kind of what it was. It's like, I don't have time to rethink what this melody line should be. I don't have time to rethink like what this chord structure should be. It's like, you just got to go. And fortunately, it seemed to work out.
It did, very much so. Absolutely love that one. Congratulations again. I'm still mind blown. 4 days and you came up with that. Gosh, I want to pick your brain bank on your lyrics.
right.
I can't believe like 7 years you stopped writing and doing things, and you were like 4 days you pop up with something like that, like finished product. Bam.
Well, I put in an enormous amount of time, and that's the
Oh, I
reality
know.
is
You
like
can hear it. You put that work in. And
that's the only way
you
that
say
happens.
enormous amount of time. Like, it's funny because BandLab only gives you 16 tracks. But once you're actually done mixing it in Cakewalk or Reaper or whatever anybody is using out there, like 250 later if you're really working on it.
Yeah, my tracks, my songs are usually somewhere between 30 to 50 tracks. That's just normal. And the fact is that I'm also taking out several tracks because
Yeah.
I just use, I mainly use, like, for instance, for drums, I just use a MIDI drum. So it's like, I don't even
Okay.
have, like, normally, like, previously in other bands, like I was dealing with, a whole onslaught of 24 tracks just for drums for all the mic sources. And so yeah, it's definitely a lot.
Nice. Are you using the MIDI drums on BandLab?
No, I pretty much use everything in Ableton. The reason why is because I'll just be honest, I'm picky. I also need a certain level of responsiveness. And I was trained on Pro Tools.
Okay.
That's where with my audio engineering degree was all on Pro Tools. And I switched to Ableton largely because of I just saw a lot of flaws in Pro Tools as far as, like, it was meant for tape. That's how it was originally designed and built.
Yes.
And then they kind of slowly morphed it into a digital audio workstation.
Mhm.
Ableton was built and designed to be like, no, this is a digital station, and it like it has more normal file management things. Like, I remember the first time I upgraded from Ableton 10 to 11, it was insane because I was able to open up a previous session that I had in Ableton 10. In Ableton 11, everything instantly worked. And in Pro Tools sessions, oh man, that would not have happened. So that's why I'm there, and that's why I work in there. I don't work too much in the BandLab DAW itself, except for mostly for sharing. That's where it works really, really well, and helping and, like, each other moving different things around.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, you're so awesome. All right, tell me about Nagato. Did I say it right?
Nagato, very close.
Nagato.
So Nagato, once again, because apparently I've got an anime itch. This one is one of those songs that I actually started with. It was the very first riff that you hear was what started everything.
Okay.
And I started it, and I was like, oh, well, this would be kind of a fun little melt thing here. Actually, so what I actually started, and then I made a generic, kind of more just like a generic metal song for BandLab as a forkable track. So I was like, okay, look, I want to find more metal hard rock creators on BandLab. Here's how I'll go find them: is I'll put out a forkable track. So that's where it started. So what I wanted to do is I kind of wanted to show people, like, okay, I'll give you the same starting place as me, and let's see what you come up with, because I'm just curious. It's just fun for me. And then this Nagato is actually what I do with that same idea and fleshing it out. Obviously, there's a whole lot more stuff going on now. And this is another one that's an exclusive for Angified. This one, actually, the second we're done playing this, I'm pulling it back down because I'm not done with it yet. There's a couple of moments that I'm not going to lie, I'm going to cringe when I hear them. No one else is probably going to care, but so it's not done yet, but this is just something to show everyone what's coming up next. And so this is, once again, an exclusive for Angified. Now what the lyrics are. So obviously you kind of know that my process is mostly I start with the track and then I go to lyrics. Right. And the lyrics, I'm not going to lie. When I first started writing this, I was like, I got the phone call that a dear friend of mine had cancer 5 minutes before walking in to go write. And I was like, and
the world's
so
crashing at that point.
So at that moment, I'm just like, holy crap, I cannot believe this is happening. Because this is, like I said, a good long-term friend of mine, and we don't know what's going to happen. And so I just started writing whatever came out of my mind. And then it moved into this thing where I started developing this image in my head of what I was, almost like an image of what I was feeling. It's a weird way to describe it, but
nope, completely understand. It's an artist thing.
Yeah, it is, and then it became this thing of what's of this image of someone young walking into the woods. Some were really scary, some were very threatening, and yet they choose to walk in. And then it became like, and then I was like, and I left alone for a while, and I was like, what is this about? And I kept writing, and it became this basically a villain story, the story of someone moving from being, an innocent child, a person that was good, a person that believed good things, and then how they slowly get twisted and contorted and become this hellish person. And that's part of, and the reason why the name Nagato is chosen is because that's actually his story. He's a character that he starts out as this kind-hearted boy, finds out that he has these incredible powers, and he's decides that he's going to use them to make the world a better place and keep everyone safe and stop wars. But the unfortunate thing is that one of his friends get killed, and one of his dear friends gets killed, and then from that moment on, his entire worldview shifts and changes and twists, and that's why at the end, exactly, it gets from this like it almost goes from someone that you want to root for, and then you get this thing of like, no, trust me, this will all make sense. And doing all these terrible things, ends all justify the means. This will all make sense. Don't worry about it. Just follow me. Just listen to me. Do what I say. And that's why the song bounces around different feelings, is because there is this almost twisted altruism of, he wants to make the world a better place and wants to make the world a peaceful place, but the way he's going to go about it is going to be horrendous, nasty, terrifying, and killing lots of people in the process.
So the villain could actually be cancer in this situation.
In a weird way, yeah, it kind of is. And that's part of why it's so all these very weird, intense feelings and pictures. And so that's why when you would ask me about where do my lyrics come from, they come from everywhere and anywhere.
Yeah. Nope, I can completely relate to you. We're going to have some fun playing around. All right, let's go ahead. Nagato. Did I say that right?
Nagato, very close.
Nagato. I'm going to screw it up like 50 times. Yeah, I learned how to speak English once upon a time. I just can't pronounce it very often. Here we go. Nagato.
An Angified exclusive. Never heard anywhere on the internet yet.
And you won't hear it anywhere for a while until he's done.
I'm finished.
You guys get teased. Na 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 na. Ha ha. Here we go. badass, badass, badass.
I love that ending. I have one of the things that I've been like struggling with emotionally is like I love that one ending and that part, and I want to double it. I haven't found a reason to justify it yet. So that's the whole thing. It's art and process.
Yes. Yes. And I love being an artist. And I know you love being an artist and creating such beautiful canvases and pieces, masterpieces that people can look at and really feel.
Yeah, that's the hope, is that you feel the journey of like of someone who used to believe one thing, used to be one thing, becoming something else.
Yes. Oh, you're incredible. I have a question. I have one last question for you before we wrap this up.
Absolutely.
If there was another artist out there on BandLab, a younger artist or an artist that is, learning and wants to become better, do you have any advice for them?
Oh, I got all kinds of advice.
Don't quit, obviously.
The first one is first piece of advice I would say is learn as many different things as you can. Like, do not be like for instance, this is one thing that I see a lot is like, oh, I am just a rapper, or I am just a vocalist, or I am just an engineer. I really push against that, obviously, because I do a billion different things. But one of the things, there's several things that are really important about being a multi-talented and multifaceted person is because, one, you don't necessarily know what you do best. You don't actually know that until you try a bunch of different things. So if the goal is to find your future profession, you got to try a bunch of different types of music work to figure that out. The other thing is that if you're going to be self-sufficient, you're not going to get a label behind you until they are already convinced that you are making money now, so that way you can make them money later. So you have to understand that you're going to need to be self-sufficient for a really long time. So you either need to have a killer high-paying job that can pay for your engineer, that can pay for your writer, pay for your producer, whatever you need that you can't do, or you need to learn those skills yourself. You need to be so that's why I recommend you need to be a decent audio engineer. You need to be a decent melody line writer, and you need to be decent at basic music theory. And those, if you can figure out basic pop rules, figure out basic audio engineering, and figure out basic music theory, you will be head and shoulders above most people that are trying to do this.
Yes. Oh, I love that advice. You got to put the work in. You gotta.
There is no way. Like and that's one thing that's kind of I don't like, is that there's this feeling and vibe and opinion out there that like, oh, someone's just an amazing singer and then they get picked up and their life's changed. That happened in the 70s, maybe.
Actually, 70s, it happened 80s. To Shania Twain.
Yeah.
Well, she was pumping gas.
Yeah. and back then, like that was it late 90s, no, late 80s or early 90s?
Late 80s, I want to say.
So but that's pretty much done now. Because you can't just be a good singer. You have to be the whole package. And so work on being the whole package. You can do it. It's not that hard.
Open your minds. Let it in. And then once you let it in, I'm going to pick your brain banks. Ha! Give me Angified. Yay! Sharing the love. It has been so amazing, Glass, having you here with me. I hope you're having fun.
Angie. I did, and thank you so much for having me. This was a lot of fun to talk and share my music, so I really appreciate what you do and your energy, the fact that you're just like happy to be excited about everyone and everyone's music. That's really special and cool. So thank you, and keep doing what you're doing, because there honestly needs to be more of that. There needs to be more people that are happy to support and share and build communities, because then it makes this whole music thing more fun.
It does. It does. Oh, I love it. Thank you. I really do appreciate it. And I'm going to keep on going. You don't worry about that.
Good.
I'm going to keep building this Angified family, and we're all going to keep going and building such a beautiful community and artists. And we want you to be heard, be you, and be original. No duplicate copies. Right?
Yep, exactly. And that is the reality, is that That's the reason why everyone should have their art. Everyone should do it, is because no one's going to say what you say. No one's going to write what you write. No one's going to want to hear what you want to hear.
That's right. And if they don't like it, too bad. They want coffee? No, they got tea.
They can have tea.
Well, everyone, this has been a great interview with GlassGarden. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe, not just on BandLab, but Bandcamp, Spotify. Check him out, send him a message, and keep creating. We'll see you next time.
I'm gonna spread love or hate. I'm gonna spread